So, one day I was coming back from work, and I checked my phone to see what a group chat I was part of was talking about. What I found was one of these guys had popped in for just 5 seconds to share a recently released trailer for Dune 2020, at the time. He also said, "This is the new Star Wars." I debated with the chat about this, and they just responded with, "You're just salty because nothing you look forward to ever turns out good." Well, it was a good burn. I think he started patting himself on the back a little too soon. You see, whenever I make an unpopular statement, I try to have an argument to explain why I feel that way, and this is one of those times where I have an argument. I am not looking forwards to Dune 2020, or Dune 2021 because all the theaters shut down again. In fact, I'm concerned about how it may turn out, and I actually have an argument to back up my claim why this movie might turn out bad. I have several things to say, but first I need to explain where this worry first originated in my bizarre brain. The fact that Dune is super popular. Now then, before you write off my argument after that sentence, you should know that Dune being popular isn't my main argument. I just feel like I need to explain where this concern stems from. For anyone who wants to jump into the real argument, I'll leave a timestamp on the screen that you can jump to. But like I said, I feel it's important to talk about my original reason for being concerned. Think of this as me telling you why I'm concerned before I tell you why you should be concerned. This is also a response to everyone in my life ignoring my arguments because they think I'm doing this for attention. You see, I'm kind of weird when it comes to popular shows, movies, and video games. When I hear all the hype surrounding something popular, it often turns me away from it because the product rarely lives up to the hype surrounding it, at least for me. This is why I generally gravitate towards less popular stuff. I know what you're about to say to me. How could this series or movie or game be bad if it's popular? And to that I say, popularity does not immediately mean good quality. While there are many movies and TV shows that are popular and good, they don't always live up to the expectations that I have after seeing all the hype. The most recent examples of this that I can think of are the anime Demon Slayer, the Black Panther movie, and Castlevania Season 3. But that is just a small portion of the things that have disappointed me in the past. There are very few shows that have lived up to the hype, but those are very rare. It also pisses me off when I find a series or a movie or a game that is great but isn't given the spotlight it deserves because that stupid level of hype wasn't drowning those series and they turned out pretty good and in some cases amazing. But enough about me and more about Dune. While the popularity factor was a big yellow flag, not a red flag, the other stuff that I have to say is a red flag because the process of adapting something is the primary problem here. Books are constantly being adapted everywhere. They get adapted into films, TV shows, even video games. And when this happens, many of them turn out bad. I often feel bad for people who are trying to directly adapt books or other stories for fans. Not only are there numerous holes they can fall into while adapting something beloved, but a one-to-one adaptation of anything into a different storytelling form is a bad idea. Every storytelling medium has its advantages and disadvantages. Books are often considered the best versions of the story because it comes straight from the author. However, this isn't without its flaws. For starters, lots of feedback from multiple people besides an editor can help iron out lots of flaws that could have slipped past a few people. This includes structure, plot holes, and things the writer previously wouldn't have thought of. A creative Quiet, Zeb! Alright, back to the video. Where was I? Alright. A great example of this is The Martian. When Andy Weir was first creating his story of a stranded astronaut on Mars, he didn't know all the intricate details about the science and stuff, like chemistry. Fortunately, he posted it on a blog of his, and a bunch of science-minded readers found it and gave him feedback that he needed to make the book. In the end, The Martian became one of the most science-accurate books on the market because of all the help Andy Weir received while making it. It also doesn't help that books are a literary work that relies on words, while films are a visual medium relying on images to tell a story. That doesn't mean a book can't be adapted well. One of my favorite movies of all time is an adaptation of a book, Jurassic Park. I love both the movie and the book for Jurassic Park. Not because it's the exact same as the book, but because they are so different. In the novel of Jurassic Park, the characters are noticeably different to their film counterparts, and there are whole sequences and plot lines that are either replaced by a different scene or altered in the final movie. If you haven't read Jurassic Park or seen the movie, I highly recommend you do, because it is fascinating to see how different these two stories are. While that might sound bad to some people, it's actually a good thing. There are many things that Steven Spielberg changed while adapting Jurassic Park that worked quite well in the finished film, such as the use of aspect ratio. In fact, if you know how Michael Crichton wrote the series, you would know that without the film's changes, there would never have been a Jurassic Park film series besides the first two movies. Read it yourself and you'll see what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that some of the best adaptations of novels are ones that change the story in big and small ways that ultimately help the adaptation. In Jurassic Park, the book, Ellie takes note how there are ferns next to the swimming pool to help in making the park feel more Jurassic or prehistoric. However, Ellie also notices that these ferns are Serena veriformans, and that these ferns and their spores are actually toxic. She also knows that if a child had a mouthful of the water in this pool, that child would die. The book even states that she thinks about how careless these people are, and how plants, like all living things, defend themselves. Keep in mind, I said think. If they had done this in the movie, it would have been less impactful, because they would have needed to have a voiceover from Laura Dern or a thought bubble appearing above her head. Instead, the film has a dinner scene where all of the scientists voice their concerns about how naive the park is, and it is here that Ellie talks about the ferns at the poolside. While this is more on the nose in the book, it still doesn't subtract from the primary theme in the book about how carelessly these people are playing God. Not every film has a dinner scene, so the voiceover is often a popular option while making a film because it's closer to the book. So you can imagine how Dune would be. Only an obsessed fan would make this mistake. Wait a second. I knew I had seen a film like Dune 2021 in the past. However, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I soon realized where I had seen the visuals like this before. It's because it's by the same director, Denis Villeneuve. I have dyslexia, so I'm just going to refer to him as the director from now on, because I don't want to butcher his name anymore. This is the part where those guys who thought they won this argument will start freaking out, because this director had directed a movie I was looking forward to before, Blade Runner 2049. If you haven't seen it, good for you, because it's a headache to watch. But the way Blade Runner 2049 was told wasn't the main problem. The problem was that the director was a big fan of the original Blade Runner by Ridley Scott. Because of this, Blade Runner 2049 was an inclusive fan project that very few people who aren't fans would understand or appreciate. So naturally, once I learned about this director, I became extra worried, because if he was a fan, then Dune would become one of those films that only series fans would understand. So I did a little digging, and guess what I found? The director is a fan of the Dune book.
Like you, I was the age of Paul Atreides. I was 15 years old, and I was grabbed right at the beginning of the first pages, and I read the whole series, and I became a Dune fan. I became obsessed by it.
Are you worried yet? Now then, that's not to say that this film is immediately going to be bad. It just means that if this director continues with his inside fan projects, we will likely get a film like Blade Runner 2049 that is an inclusive fan project that very few people will understand or enjoy, and that worries me. It means that the director might not make those critical changes to make Dune work better as a film, unlike what happened in Jurassic Park. It also doesn't help that casual readers say some pretty unfavorable things about the book that general audiences might despise, and that a fan of the series might not mitigate an adaptation. If that happens, with the combined state of the world right now, this film doesn't seem to be in a favorable state that will make this movie fail. But hey, that's just why I'm worried. And now, maybe you are too. And hey, maybe Dune 2021 will fix these problems, and I'll be wrong. But until the movie comes out for all of us to judge, I'm still going to be worried. If you agree with me, you can share and subscribe and like and watch other videos I've made, or whatever else you feel like, because it's your choice, and if you feel like it, you can check out my other videos I've made, like how I discuss The Mandalorian, and how they use aspect ratio to their advantage. And if you disagree with me, please leave a comment. I would love to hear the opinions of others, but with how people just dislike stuff and don't agree with and walk away. I'm not sure where that will happen. Anyways, have a nice day, and bye. I have other things I want to do.